Today, we're going to be talking about employee ideas. I'm fortunate to be joined by Katie and Sean from Lancashire Police. And despite what sometimes we think, there isn't actually a monopoly on good ideas in the business change or IT departments, or actually even in the PDS. And it's long been said, if you want to improve something, then ask the people who use the service or process on how to improve it. Too often in policing, we see when technology comes in, we replace old processes with digitally supported processes, which are in essence a replication of what we were doing before the computer game, which doesn't unlock the potential benefits that are well thought out and digitally embedded change could deliver. We have to think about what we need at the beginning and think about the outcomes, and then design the process to match it. And there's lots of reasons for this, such as policies but as our approach to the National Police digital strategy matures, we need to mature and take bolder steps in our approaches to this change. And there are thousands of colleagues who can help us with this. We also have to recognise that sometimes colleagues have huge ideas which could unlock huge benefits and value to policing, but they may not feel confident in raising their suggestion. And with the huge pressures on the police service in terms of the increasing demands and complexity of that demand, and the need to reduce costs given the cost of living crisis, which is impacting on all services, we really must do our best to gather and maximise the value of our colleagues' ideas and turn them into realities. So today, Lancashire Police are going to be sharing what they've been able to build and leverage using the Microsoft Employee Ideas element, which is built into the 365 blueprints that all forces are able to use without any additional cost. And that's helping to shape the way that they're delivering policing to their communities. So I'll ask Katie and Sean to explain how they manage those ideas, how they're generated and how they track them through. So Katie, can I hand over to you?
Yes, I'll just share my screen. Brilliant. Hi, everybody. My name's Katie Formstone. I'm a project manager at Lancashire Police and part of the digital business change team that comes under ICT. And I'm with you here today with Sean Buckley, who's also part of our IT team. He's in the development, and he will be on at the end of the presentation and will be able to introduce himself. I can imagine there are quite a few different use cases for utilising the Employee Ideas app within our organisations. I will obviously be talking specifically about ours, which is a force-wide approach. So we did have a sort of message board on our intranet site, which is currently SharePoint 2016. And within that, we were losing any kind of good ideas that was coming through the organisation. And our chief officer team very much are new to Lancashire. They were really interested to hear what ideas the people have got. And they're also looking at what solutions people can come with problems that they see in the organisation. So when we talked to them about utilising this app that we'd seen on the PDS store, they thought it was a really good idea. You can rename the app, so we've basically branded it as Lancashire Constabulary. We've put our own crest on, and you can access it through our Force intranet site. The logo is just in the bottom right hand corner, and that's what people see on our intranet. And because we're on 2016 at the moment, SharePoint, unfortunately it's not a seamless link, but we are moving to SharePoint Online. So at the moment, it takes you to a landing page, it explains what the app is, and then people click through and it takes them to the team site. And I've got some screenshots of that in a minute. Within the app, it allows you to create campaigns. So we've basically, because it is quite a corporate app, it's based on our 4 force priorities. So our resources, partners, people and communities. So any ideas that people have or anything that people see just isn't working quite right, if it fits into one of those 4 priorities, it's something that we can progress as an organisation. The app allows you to obviously collect the idea that people have generated, and I've got some screenshots. One thing that we found when we launched is obviously the point where someone inputs an idea to the app, it's the time when they can really put down all of the information that they've got. So at the beginning we weren't capturing enough, and we needed to go back and keep asking for more. So we've expanded those questions set, and I will show you that in a minute. To manage the Employee Ideas app, we do have a triage team. This is made up of our organisational development team, which is part of learning and development, our media and engagement, the digital business change team, and the development team. We've not expanded it wider because each idea obviously can reflect any number of business area within the organisation, so we liaise with those as they come up. We have a bi-weekly call. We go through the apps, the ideas that people have previously submitted. Sometimes they can take a little while, you know, to process for us to triage, and then go through the new ideas that people have come up with. We do have created a private channel on the team. So this is just for the triage group. And again, I've got a screenshot to show you. This helps us keep, I mean, the beauty of Teams, I'm preaching to the converted, it keeps all of the information together. The triage team just access that one app to go to get the ideas that have been generated, but also then to progress the work, for us to work together. So that has been a good tip. Here you can see the app itself. This is where, like, the landing screen for everybody, what they see, and across the bottom you can see these are our 4 priorities, and this is where people go to submit their ideas. So you can see the app will automatically generate who top contributors are, and it also allows you to see what the top ideas are, so how many votes each idea is getting. In order to submit an idea, you would select across the bottom, they are the campaigns. So they would think, you know, my idea, right, okay, well, it fits with partnership, so I'll select that one. This is where they actually submit the idea, and this is where I was saying we've actually expanded the question set to capture some more information from the outset, and that really helps you manage the ideas. It does take a bit of time. I mean, obviously we've gone force wide. You might use the app for a smaller use case, but because we have gone force wide, we probably get at least 3 ideas a week. Well, we're triaging 3 new ones every other week. So we do ask them to expand further on a description of what the idea or problem is, why is it needed, what business area will it affect, what are the benefits of the idea, and critically, have they seen it working elsewhere? Because if we can see they've seen it in another force, you know, we will steal with pride. And as you know, business change, it's a lot of work from start to finish. So all of that information is really good to get from the outset.
So what are the positives on? What's the user experience actually like then, Katie? I think you've just got it on screen now.
Yes. So this is how it views. So this is a screenshot of my Teams app. So you can see all my other teams that I'm a member of, and I've highlighted quite badly the Lancashire Constabulary app. So this is actually employee ideas. So you can see that it does show as a normal team site. You've got your channels there. You know, the general one, obviously, that we all get. The ideas hub is what everyone will see, and then you can see the lock to show that the ideas triage group is a private channel. what I wanted to show you with this screenshot is that when people do post an idea, well, when they submit an idea in the app, what our development team have done is ensure that a post is created so that people can see a new idea has been submitted, and there's the option there for people to comment. So you can see on this idea about Nice Investigate, there's been a bit of a conversation around people liking the idea and further discussion around it, which is really useful to see when you're triaging the ideas.
So what about, and it is important that it's in the team's environment, isn't it, Katie? Because that's how people can use it.
Yes, and it helps with your team's adoption as an organisation. So if people see everyone in the force has got this Teams app, so they might not have very many apps yet. We're still on very much on our journey with 365. So it's for those like myself who are using it day in, day out, it's second nature. But for other people, it's giving them not only the access to the app to allow them to submit the ideas, but it's also getting them used to the functionality of Teams and 365. So it works really well. And when we've moved our intranet to SharePoint Online, that will also have a link. You'll be able to view our intranet from Teams as well. So it's almost becoming that one-stop shop for your information in terms of Lancashire as a force.
So what have the positives been like for it?
The positives. That's my next slide, I think. Yeah. I must admit, I've been really surprised on the uptake. Not that I'm a negative person, but people have engaged with it. And I think one of that has been around, it has come in with a buy-in from the Chief Officer team from the outset. And we have created the triage group. So the ideas are being processed. People get contact from the triage group, so they know it's being actioned. And we also put together an awards. So we selected a top idea of the month, and that was posted on our intranet site. The 3 top winners actually met with the chief. They had the photograph taken. They got a small award. And once we'd done that, we saw then an increase in ideas submitted to the app. So I think as an organisation, people saw, oh, that it is being actioned, it's being listened to, and actually it's going as far as the Chief Officer team. So that was a real positive. And as you can see there, we've had 93 ideas. We've already sort of closed off 66 of them. And that could be because we have reviewed the idea, and actually within that business area, they are pursuing it already, which is a real good win. And others, we have worked through them and they've been processed and they are in action. And others, they take a bit longer, depending on what the solution is. As you can imagine, there's quite a few that do have a digital solution. Quite a lot of them are using 365 functionality, a lot of automations. So that's really good news as well, that people are starting to think in that way and understand what the capabilities are within 365. There are, I don't want to be negative about the app, but there are just some things to be mindful when you do deploy it in your organisation. As I've said, we have the bi-weekly call. It does take some managing, and I think if you don't put that wrap around, people will quite quickly realise that it's not being acted upon and probably won't use the app. So you do need to have something in place and think about which business area that's going to fall under and who's going to sort of lead on those calls, those meetings. There's a bit. Sorry,
Go
go
on,
on.
Katie. And I think that's a really important point, is that, the app doesn't solve the problem. It still needs somebody to look after it and make sure you're communicating the responses back out to the colleagues in forces.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you are opening the floodgates. You are putting an offer there. We've said to Lancashire, right, we want your ideas. So you've then got to be prepared to act upon them. And it's a buy-in from all departments, not just the team that are triaging the ideas that are coming through. It's then those other departments in the organisation understanding, oh, okay, so this has come through employee ideas. It is something that the chief, the chief officer team are backing. We need to progress this, and sometimes it's obviously prioritised in terms of the rest of their work demand, but at least it's getting scheduled into their work demand because they know that this is being reviewed, and there is emphasis on it within our organisation. And if you don't have that, then I think you'll find it really hard.
Absolutely. Sean, over to you.
I am Sean Buckley, Development Supervisor at Lancs. Now, the Employees Ideas app is great, but what it doesn't deal with is the flow of ideas that come in, how to schedule them, resource them and plan them out. So we've developed an Ideas app here, which is separate from the main Ideas app. So if that changes, we can just update it. So what we've got here is these are all the ideas that have come into the system. It's got the title of the idea and it's got like the number of votes that people have voted for. We've added a status to all the ideas so we can see it's in review, in progress, or if we can't progress the application, we'll mark it to that status. So this is just a gallery view of all the ideas. Then we've got a form across here. So when you click on the idea, give you the description of the idea. These are the statuses we've added. So we've got it in progress. We've also got the outcome of it if we couldn't progress with the idea. So we can say it's not being accepted or it's in draft. And we get the question sets that Katie talked about earlier coming across. So in this one, you've only got 2 questions. What impact will your idea have and how much effort? That comes out the box. So what we've added is the actions down below. So what we do in the meetings is we'll change it to received. So this will show all the new ideas that have come into the app. So there's 3 there now. We will then just move this out of the way. We will then assign it to someone. So we'll add an action. So this one's create a uniform app. So you may want to assign a BA to get the requirements. So I'll put that there. Get requirements. Then you'll set it for today's date and you'll say, give them 2 weeks to complete the requirements. Assign it to someone in your organisation. So I'll assign it to Srini. And then you can put notes in there, contact the user. And you'll say that. So you've dealt with that one. So you'll move that on again, that status, to in review. Save it. And it'll move it off this list. And then you can keep going through it until you've dealt with all the new ideas. Then what we do is we've got an action sheet. So if I click this button here, this will show every single action we've put in the system. So this tells us the idea number, who it's assigned to, what the idea is, what action. So we've assigned this to Srini to buy some masks. Now we've done it red because it's overdue. So in the meeting, we'll edit it. Go, Srini, how you been doing? Have you finished this? So we can complete it. That will clear it off the list here. And we can go through to the next action. Now here, if they haven't completed it on time, we can give them extra time, just see if they need to go back to other people. So we can shift it on by 2 weeks. Save it. Again, that'll move it to the bottom of the list. And you can keep going through these actions until they're all complete. If you want to have a look what the idea is in details, you can click on this and it'll tell you what the idea is and what the questions are. It's only got a couple of screens to this, so it's an action sheet and the main sheet. But if you want to go into the ideas, you can click on here, and this will give you more information about the actual idea. So you can delete them if there's inappropriate ones, or you can edit them on there. So if I go back, so I go into the actual app and show you what we've done. Right, when you're dealing with the app, what you've got to do is do your database first. So if I go into the database, with the employee ideas, you get a campaign, questions, files, responses, and this is the main ideas. What we've added is an action table. So if I just have a look at that. And this is a table we've created. This will have the action. So this will be the description of what we're doing, the assigned date, due by date, and we link it to the idea by a lookup table. So I'll just edit this column. So you'll see here it's keyed to the employee ideas as a lookup table, and that will do all the joining automatically for you.
So using the out-of-the-box employee ideas platform to gather, to manage your campaigns, to put the themes out and to get the upvotes and the comments from the front line, but then using automatic approach to actually manage the ideas that have come through the triage and manage them through the process.
Yeah, that's right, because we were using a spreadsheet, and I think there's a help page where you can export it to an Excel sheet, but it got on wildly to go through the Excel, where you can manage it all in the application, so you can see new apps coming up. So yes,
absolutely. And I think that was one of the gaps in the original solution for the employee ideas. It was a good solution into way to integrate it into Teams and into Yammer, Viva Engage, etc., but perhaps didn't make it as easy to manage it in the back end as it could have done.
No, that's right. So if I take you through some of these components on here, if you've done the Power Apps, you'll know it's broken down into forms and galleries. So I've got a gallery here. I'm going to be going into a bit of code, so I'll try and gloss over it quite quickly. I say code, it's no code, it's all kind of formulas that you put in. So for this one here, this is a gallery, and the items are based on that combo box above.
Yeah.
It's very small. I'll just zoom in. So I've got a switch statement in there, and that'll filter them down. And on the grid across here, there we go. That's the form there. So when I click on that, it will display the ideas, employee ideas, and you can pull out different components of those ideas on there. So if I do it to item, display name, yeah. So that's the idea status there.
Yeah.
And then we've got,
this only has to be done once, Sean, doesn't it? When you set it all up to get it up and running.
Oh yeah, just the once. Once it's sorted, you then publish your application, and you just publish it to. We're publishing it to a channel at the moment because it's the Microsoft for Teams. We haven't got the security, so what we do is publish it to a Teams, and we do the group security on that Teams channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just show you this last little bit actually. So this is again another gallery control. So if I click on that, when you select something on this side, gallery ideas, it selects your action ideas, and then you can add little buttons on here. So if I click the edit, you can see these screens will open up, and the commands for them are here where I'm updating the context, and I'm just pulling up an edit form, which if I click on it again, you'll see that edit form.
Yeah.
And the save button, and this will be the final one. On select. Yeah, on select, all it will do is submit the form, update the context, and then just clear the form down by creating a new form, and it refreshes the two gallery controls you saw earlier, the ideas one and the employees' ideas.
Thanks,
That's it,
Sean.
David. No
Thanks
worries.
a lot, Sean. That's really good. Now, one of the things that we would make colleagues aware of course, is that the solution is available from the PDS Solutions catalogue. It's on the PDS website. You can easily click through to it. There's a public view of it, and then if you are actually part of PDS or the guest tenants, you can get in there and actually access it. So again, it is on the PowerPoint. You can get in. If you haven't got a current guest access, click on the link to request an access, fill in the form, and we'll give you access. You can get in to download it. You don't really need to download it from our solutions catalogue because it's in your tenants anyway. And obviously what we'll look at doing is sharing the way that Lancashire have been using it. A couple of questions, because we are running a little tight on time because there's such a lot to cover in this. Question from David: have you been able to identify any measurable benefits since implementing the Ideas Hub? For example, what the public perceptions, the forces perceptions about being able to empower to share ideas? Katie, perhaps you can come in on that.
It's a really good point, actually, and I'm now thinking we need to follow up on that. We do have media involvement, and there is a lot of work around surveys to the organisation and how they're feeling, but actually since we've deployed this app, how has that impacted? So thank you, David, for the idea, and we're going to follow up on it. Yeah.
And it's a new technology, it's a new way. Benefits measuring is always a challenge in forces, we know that, and we were constantly working with that. And again, we'll be looking for ideas on how we can do that to measure those benefits. A lot of the benefits are about service improvement rather than cost savings quite often, or releasing time to focus on other things to make things happen. There was a question in here around do you allow anonymous questions, which obviously the platform doesn't allow that, Katie, does it? It is about owned names questions, isn't there?
Yes, and that's very much what our chief officer team wanted. They wanted to know the individuals that are bringing forward the ideas, and obviously we have the awards to honour those that have put forward the good ideas. So we actually didn't want it to be anonymous.
And I really support that. I'm doing a lot of work with forces on internal engagement at the moment, and the idea is if somebody's got a great idea, we want the teams to be able to work with that person who's come up with the idea to actually get into the detail, understand what needs to change and how to change it, so that we get that. And we want people to be proud of their suggestions and ideas to bring them forward. And the future of the Ideas app is there's going to be more integration with the tools like the Viva Engage and Yammer. And just speaking of that a little bit, you may have noticed a recent announcement in relation to Yammer from Microsoft in the last 48 hours. And we did a webinar very recently on that. It doesn't mean that Yammer's vanishing. In fact, it's actually going to integrate it more into Teams and to the Engage element of it. So we are planning our workshop. The link will be in the chat and on the screen, so you can actually get involved in the workshop on that and replay the webinar on that, because I think there's a lot more we can get out of using employee ideas and those sorts of content to get things forward. There's more questions than we've been able to have time to get to, Katie and Sean, so thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll make the recording available. And if forces want to know more, please reach out to your business engagement manager who will be able to help you out and get more out of it. And speaking of business engagement manager, if ever you're struggling to get hold of them, the QR code's on screen now, but you could also use the Force collaboration channel. The level of engagement and chat, I know Katie's had a question answered in this last few days on there around mobile devices, but these are the sort of conversations that we're seeing on their platform at the moment, in terms of conversations about L&D, M365 in custody, a stream. There was a couple of questions on how stream is, and we've got a webinar coming up in the next couple of weeks on stream to answer that. So it just gives you an idea where the conversations are. And we've recently updated the PDS website with loads of events and activities for you to get involved in. It's easy to get involved, so please do join us for our future events. Speaking of which, no webinar next week. It's a chance to replay this one if you are off this week and they're watching the replay, but there is nearly 100 webinars available on our platform if you need to catch up on any of them at any time. And we hope you can join us in our future webinars. Keep it peeled for all the updates coming forward. Thanks a lot.